Welcome to Non Fungible Guys. I'm one of your hosts, Devon C. Codrington, and normally I'm joined by Ryan. But Ryan's not here today. We had an emergency, and then we had another emergency, and then another emergency, and it just wasn't able to be this week. So, unfortunately, I'm the only one here. But that's okay. We've still got an excellent episode for you today. In fact, we're actually going to re-release a previous episode that we released earlier on this year, episode 29. With Bitfalls on the Remark protocol. We've actually wanted to do this for quite some time. We've been thinking about getting back to this episode and giving an update on it. And we've even reached out to Bitfalls to try to get him back on the podcast. So, we're going to see what happens with that. But this week, we'd like you to get reacquainted with the Remark protocol. The Remark protocol is an NFT Lego building protocol on the Kusama Blockchain, which is Polkadot's canary network. So in the coal mine, if the air was poor, the canary would die first because the canary needs better air. And if the canary dies, there's probably some sort of a toxin in the coal mine and we've got to get out there. So the canary is a signifier, a signal to know what's coming for the rest of the workers or for the main chain. So Kusama is a signal network for Polkadot. That's why it's called the canary network. Either way, the Remark protocol is built on the Kusama blockchain and it involves what Ryan and I kind of consider the future or the maximum potential as we know it of NFTs. These NFTs can own other NFTs. They can build on each other and they're basically liquid. They're forward compatible. You can nest these NFTs. They can be conditional and multi-resourced. And it was just a protocol and a capability that we hadn't really seen anywhere. And it was really something that we really liked. And we thought we'd want to revisit this and learn more about it. Now, of course, we are a Web3 podcast, so we cover everything. And much of our time is spent with Cardano, but we definitely spend a lot of time in Kusama as well. So if you're listening to this episode and you have not heard about the Remark protocol, during this episode, this re-release, pay attention to the 5 elemental bases of the Remark NFT, which, considering how in-depth it can get, can turn out to be a lot. It can be a lot. It makes up the bulk of the episode. Essentially, it's basically how these NFTs, how this protocol can describe and interact with NFTs. So one of them that really stuck out to me is conditional rendering, being that you can have an NFT. Let's say you have an NFT that is a dragon's egg, okay, and that's the NFT. And when you mint it, it will become a dragon. So what you can do to that egg is send it. You can send it emotes. You can send it happy faces. You can send it sad faces. You can send it angry faces. And whatever you send it, based on preset, emojis or whatever that you send it, can determine how your NFT will end up later on when you mint it or when you evolve it. So essentially, you can influence the outcome of your NFT based on how you interact with it. And that's called conditional rendering. So the Remark protocol has that kind of stuff built in. Also, of course, multi-property attributes, multi-resource, NFTs, which will be essentially, let's say you have an NFT that's a book. You can nest in an e-reader in it. You can nest in audio files. And you can do that. You might be thinking, well, I can do that now. But you can nest in stuff that will be proprietary. We'll be able to work with externally proprietary software. So it'll work with any e-reader. More on that in the episode. It literally gets pretty deep and it's fairly technical. So if you're not a technical person, you might not necessarily enjoy this that much. But if you are, I think you really will enjoy this episode. So I'll stop talking. It's been long enough. But please enjoy this re-release of Non Fungible Guys episode 29 with Bruno from the Remark protocol on Twitter at Bitfalls. Enjoy. What's going on, everybody? Ryan, Bruno, nice to meet you, man. Welcome to Non Fungible Guys. I am your host, one of your hosts, Devon C. Codrington. I'm joined by my trusty co-host,
Ryan, how's
Ryan,
it going?
and we're joined today by Bruno Schwartz, and he's the dude. Bruno is the founder of Remark app, Remark protocol, maybe you might call it, on the Kusama experiment. If you don't know about Kusama, you should listen because it's serious. And this is not Kusama with like the Infinity Mirrors like art exhibit. This is Kusama, the experiment, which is like a cousin of Polygon. Gonna get into it. Bruno also
Polkadot.
does the Dot Leap newsletter, and he also does the news.nft review. This guy's been in Web3 since you were a toddler, and he's in Croatia right now, Republic of Croatia. He's a dope dude, and he's going to school us and tell us everything about Remark and everything about crypto. What's up, Bruno?
What's going on?
What's up? Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Lesson 1, canary network of Polkadot, not Polygon.
I was going to
What did I say? I said Polygon?
Yeah.
Oh man, I meant
I
to
tried
say
to
Polkadot.
correct you.
I heard you saying something, and I was just like, wait, why would? Yeah, what's yeah? Polkadot.
Why would I
Polygon.
step on you like usual?
No,
I'm trying to
100%
correct you?
do. 100% do. If I say Polkadot and when I mean to say Polygon, like I'll drink.
Such a rookie move. Sorry, Bruno.
Rookie move, man.
I understand.
So-
You know what? I'm out.
What? Thank you. Perfect. I'll take over. No. So welcome, Bruno, to NFGs. I guess we'll start off with tell the world who you are and how you got started with crypto and blockchain and all that fun stuff.
So I'm Bruno. I started with Ethereum in 2015. Mainly education, technical education, tutorials, getting my former Web2 colleagues into Web3, making them not afraid of it. Some smart contracts, audits, later worked on Ethereum 2.0 with status, and then moved into Web3 Foundation to work on Polkadot and Kusama. And over at the Web3 Foundation was when I started Remark as kind of a reaction shot at the lameness of NFTs. So I was I was utterly devastated and demoralized by the state of NFTs and how they haven't evolved at all since the CryptoKitties craze, which I was a big part of. And so I was just sick of their staticness and made Remark.
That's awesome. And how would you describe Remark? I guess how would you describe it?
Well, Remark is a system, is a protocol of NFT Legos. So it's like elementary Lego pieces for NFTs 2.0, which you can put together in any kind of combination that you wish to create a really complicated no-code NFT system. In other words, it's a bunch of really cool and necessary logic for NFTs that you can use to build any kind of NFT project that you envision, and any UI that supports any marketplace that supports these 5 elementary NFT Legos will automatically support any derivation, permutation, and combination of these Legos. So no matter how complex you go with their combinations, and if you nest one Lego into another and then combine them with 5 others in whatever order, it will still be supported by a UI that supports the 5 elementary Legos.
Jesus.
This is designed mainly to let NFTs evolve. Because right now, like if you have like an NFT, you want to do some custom functionality around it. What you have to do is, so you have 2 options. One is you're going to launch just an expensive link to an image.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to be selling. That's your NFT.
Exactly.
The other option is, if you want to do anything custom about it, you're going to have to find a single or a few Solidity developers, each of whom cost around $500K per year plus equity, to build you some sort of UI and smart contract that only you can use and power for as long as you're interested in this. And once that goes down, all of your collectors are
left stranded.
That's
crazy. Because all you hear about right now in the NFT space is smart contracts and NFTs. And I guess with Remark, you actually don't need smart contracts. It's all you can keep building on top of it, like you were saying with the Legos, right? Where did the idea for Remark come from?
I looked at what was holding NFTs back, and Largely, it was the comfort of the lowest common denominator, which is just images that people are really willing to buy. And so when you're a huge marketplace that has 100 million in the bank from an investment on top of being the default marketplace in an entire ecosystem that makes hundreds of millions of dollars per year just on commissions from people trading images, you have zero incentive to try something new. Like,
right.
You would be insane to change your entire business model if you're earning hundreds of millions of dollars on
For
people
sure.
trading monkeys and doodles, right? So this is fundamentally a huge blocker to NFT evolution. Even something like Bored Apes, who pulled off the mutant stuff.
Yeah.
What you could do, the only way you could get a mutant is use their UI for it. And if their UI and their custom contract didn't exist, you would not be able to get your mutant.
Right.
So this custom functionality does not exist in OpenSea, even though Bored Apes is the most popular NFT project on the planet with the most volume on the planet. OpenSea still didn't add custom support for their smart contract mutation into their UI. So any kind of other project that does anything custom has zero hope of getting in there.
Mhm.
And unless you kind of abstract that away from these incumbents that are really they're really resistant to evolution, really, they're never going to evolve. And so this is why the 5 Legos were made, so that if you support these 5 primitives that are very easy to support, you will automatically support all of these extra use cases that can arise from them. And now, if you need to smarten that up further, sure, write some smart contracts around that. But in most cases, you don't even need to, because this is such a versatile foundation that it really lets you build a ton of different stuff.
That's crazy.
Whoa.
I know in researching this stuff, it was just like hurting my brain. I was like, man, the whole trying to figure it all out is that. Well, I mean, that's why we're having you on, so it can maybe dumb it down for folks like myself. But I don't know. I love the whole thing. I want to get more into it, but anyways, go ahead. Vaughn, you got anything?
No, I got a bunch of questions. First of all, that's one thing, like Ryan and I have been talking about this, and we haven't actually seen what you just described reflected in the news, and like saying like that this provides the ability to go outside the platform, and go outside the developers what UI and actually get this done. I never even considered that, like I think everyone's pretty pissed off with OpenSea right now, and like a lot of these marketplaces are pretty stagnant and they are just sitting there. You're right. No innovation, no nothing. They're actually like overreaching. We talked about this on our last episode when we were talking about what was the platform? Was it JPEG Store?
JPEG Store was going to take away royalties for projects that got rug pulled. They were just going to decide to do it themselves, but they didn't. Yeah,
so we've seen them like, just stagnant or just kind of overreaching and trying to and I was thinking like is that play another money grab or another control element of what are they trying to do there? But either way, like, yeah, we're not seeing innovation. And okay, so I guess a bunch of my questions are, one of them, what are the like 5 elemental Lego bases that each NFT that you might build up are based off of? Like, what are the attributes of those?
So Lego 1 is multi-resource NFTs, and that just means that an NFT can be shown to you or used or consumed in different ways depending on context. So you can have an NFT that's an ebook, and that ebook NFT has at the same time an audio file as a resource, a PDF file as a resource, and a JPEG file as a resource. And if you load it into Audible, it'll just play. And if you load it into Kindle, you'll be able to read it.
Yeah.
And based on the context that the environment you loaded in supports, it will prioritize that resource. But it's still the same NFT.
Right.
And this solves the problem of Zuckerberg recently talked about it on Lex Friedman's podcast, where if you have a metaverse that is cartoonish and a metaverse that is realistic, and you buy a jacket for your avatar, which one are you buying? The cartoonish one or the realistic one? Well, with Remark, you're buying both at the same time, because one NFT has two visualizations, one that is intended for the cartoonish metaverse and one that is intended for the realistic one. And depending on which metaverse you equip it in, that is the one that gets rendered. So what this allows you to do with NFTs is make them cross-collection compatible. Because if I make a hoodie that's pixelated, that can be made compatible with a punk. But if I make a hoodie that is smooth, SVG, flat colored, that I can make that compatible with an ape. But that hoodie can only be put into either the punk or the ape. And so now that hoodie, it might have a supply of 100, but it has a demand of double because I made it compatible with two projects. And if I make it compatible with a third one, because I can add more resources after the fact, I make it even more rare.
Okay.
So not only is your NFT kind of eternally liquid because you add liquidity and utility to it for as long as you want, so it doesn't die after the initial hype. It is also actually useful and usable in all of these different projects. And this is where Lego 2 kicks in and is important in that NFTs can own other NFTs.
Right.
And so in this case, like if you like a very big problem with the metaverses today is that they're just multiplayer games. They're just running.
We use that just when we're talking about people, like how you describe it. I'm like, honestly, I hate saying this, but think of like, you know, being in a multiplayer. Yeah.
It is. They're literally multiplayer games because they're running on somebody's server, which can go down. And they just replaced username and password with, does the user have this NFT in their wallet? That's it. Once you log in, you can log into any number of other games with that same NFT and nothing's going to complain. You can even sell that NFT after you're logged in and nothing's going to kick you out. This is because in order to get an NFT into a game, the team that builds that metaverse has to actually build that model of the NFT, compile it into the client software of that game. And then what the game does, it checks your wallet. And once you're logged in, it says, yeah, all right, this guy has this balance. So allow his avatar the use of this asset that we have already pre-built. That is junk. What Remark lets you do is, if you have multi-resource logic, that NFT can have its own 3D model. And this 3D model will get auto-loaded when you load it into the metaverse. But this still leaves the problem of you being able to sell the NFT when you're logged in or use it multiple. Well, with Remark, when your NFT can own other NFTs, if your avatar is an NFT and you put your jacket into your avatar, then the avatar owns the jacket and the avatar can equip the jacket to change his appearance. If the NFT is on your avatar, it cannot be anywhere else. And so if you sell it while you're using it in the game, it disappears because you cannot sell it while it's being used. It's not yours. It is the avatar's. If the avatar is in the game, again, if the avatar is an NFT, he is probably equipped in the land of the metaverse.
Wow.
And this is how our metaverse also works. Every piece of land is an NFT. That NFT equips an avatar into itself. That avatar equips gear onto himself. That gear contains other stuff. And all of that, every layer is an NFT that contains another NFT. And once you put those two Legos together, then it becomes really powerful because now you can have an axe that you take into, let's say, Sandbox for the sake of illustration. You equip it onto your avatar, the avatar uses the axe. But later on, a cooler game comes out, Sandbox dies. Is your axe dead? No. You can add a new resource onto it that is compatible with the new game, and you have thereby extended its lifespan. You can now reuse an item that was used in a previous game in the new game and have full compatibility with it without having to rely on the original team.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's like, I mean, not exactly the same, but it just makes me think of expansion pack from you know,
in a way, but these collections do not have to be connected to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can, I can add utility to a completely unrelated collection. So, it's as if I could make CryptoKitties fun again by building a decentralized arena for them or something.
Right.
So, it's crazy. Like I'm
That
so
was
glad that
one
you're
section of the 5.
That was two. That was
Oh,
two.
two,
That
sorry.
was multi-resource, and that was
nesting.
NFT
Nesting.
owning nested NFTs.
Sorry.
That's 2 out of the 5. Going back to number 1. That multi-resource is crazy. And I was thinking, so look at my background right now with this is the banner.
Zombie hunters.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say zombie chains.
I know you were.
I paused it and I was like, fuck it. This is the banner, right? Listen, Ryan's here to like tell me when I say the wrong word.
I'll say nope.
So this is the banner of zombie hunters. And I've got the PFP as my Twitter for my Twitter handle or whatever profile pic. And they kicked us a bunch of different. They kicked us the PFP. They kicked us this banner, and they kicked us something else, right? There was 3 images in the when we minted it.
Yeah, there was like the Twitter banner. Then there was a Twitter profile picture, and then there was like a one that was in between both.
Yeah, kind of. So
it was like your one NFT was 3 different pictures.
Yeah, and that was like 3 different aspect ratios. And when we got it, we were like, "Holy shit! Like this is amazing." I remember Ryan was like, "Man, this is." Like good for them. Like look how low the bar is. All they did was give us the same picture, like with 3 different aspect ratios, and it's the background of my Zoom call right now. That's the benchmark that's got me impressed. And like
this blows it out of the water.
I know. I'm like Lego foundational piece number 1 is like, yeah, it's not just the same picture 3 times. It's literally different. It's this multi-resource entity that can be applied based on whatever you need it to do. Like the ebook was a perfect example.
I love that example.
Yeah, that was like, so
you
good.
Got your audio, you got your you read it like that. I don't know. This is what my brain just gets exploded.
Right? Why aren't we talking to Snoop Dogg and being like, okay, what did he drop? He dropped his single, right?
One single from single,
and he's like, man, he should be dropping this as a Remark protocol NFT, and like actually be like, here's the track, here's the album cover, here's the lyrics and like whatever else, like in one package. Like I think that's what we're missing here. Okay, so that's one. And then number 2, the question, I think we actually had this question from a user. We'll probably get into that question later on, but you just confirmed that you can upgrade, expansion pack, expand the utility, however you want to call it, add an attribute to an NFT after the fact, like after mint, to inject like more useful.
Yeah, you can always build onto it. That's what I was saying, like the different, there's no smart contracts. You just
never
keep
gonna
adding
die.
it. No, you just can keep adding to it, and that's the complexity of it. That's where I started losing. I was like,
yeah,
it's like the Bored Ape, like instead of minting that serum or airdropping it, you could just add it into the file of it, right?
Yep. You could also have it be a function of the NFT that just by clicking it mints another NFT for you, and have this be decentralized and automatically supported by every
and they
protocol.
would just update that on the back, like they would just kick that out to through the smart contract, and like wow,
no smart contract.
We also have like so we solved nested royalties. So historically, if you bundle NFTs together, selling them as a bundle is a huge problem, because how you distribute royalties, like which part of that price of a bundle goes to which item in the set, and how do you distribute them if they're all different recipients at different percentages? You can't just take a percentage and then divide it up, because one might have 25%, one 5%, and they might even sum up to be more than 100%. So what do you do?
Yeah, and one might have existed much longer than the other, obviously, right? Like,
so this is a problem, and this is a problem that we've also solved. And so now if you design like a jacket patch for a jacket. For an avatar, and that avatar wears the jacket, and you sell the avatar who wears the jacket, which wears the patch, the maker of the patch gets his fair share of royalties. So you can share royalties down the stack as deep as you want, and everybody gets their fair share, which becomes really powerful when you think about different types of NFTs. So for example, if you have like a music sheet NFT that is just an empty music sheet, and that music sheet has slots into which you can equip samples, vocal, drums, this and that.
Shit.
Now you can come up with a collective composition which you can sell as a song, as a playable song that's already supported on Singular on our app. But then every maker of every sample gets their fair share of royalties based on the sales of that song. Wow. And this, I think, is pretty powerful. But also, like these multi-resource things, they can be used for a lot of different things. Like you can also jerry rig this into like persistence. Like on Ethereum, it is very common to see centralized metadata on people's servers, right?
Yeah.
And servers go down, metadata goes down, and you lose you get your art rug pulled. Here, you can use the multi-resource aspect actually as another way of backing up the data, because one resource can be the metadata pointing at IPFS. The other resource can be pointing at Arweave. The third resource can be pointing at Siacoin. And so now your NFT is pointing to 4 of its own backups.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And now there's like the chances of it disappearing are exponentially lower. So
yeah,
a lot of different use cases.
Yeah, and okay, that's pretty good. The fact that it would point to IPFS, that's actually huge. I never even considered that metadata is stored centrally. I never even considered that. Okay, let's get back to number 3 of the building block, the Lego building blocks. So like number 2, and nested NFTs, them owning each other. What's the number 3 foundation piece?
The third one is on-chain emotes. So you can actually react to every NFT like you would on a social media message or something.
That's awesome.
That's like the canary eggs receiving those.
That's what we used to hatch these birds. Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is a really fun mechanic for like just social purposes, but it can also assist in relative price discovery. Like if Vitalik thumbs up my Vitalik Lambo NFT, it is for sure more valuable than somebody else's Vitalik Lambo, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, you stamp like a verified emote from somebody.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And so if you have like similar NFTs that have different levels of reactions from maybe different people, then you can assess the relative value differently. So it's a cool price discovery mechanism.
I like it. I saw an example today about someone was saying like if you had the Mona Lisa as an NFT and somebody sent 1,000 kissing emojis to it, and then the Mona Lisa blushes.
That was probably me too. Yeah. This is an example that I bring up because this combines it with conditional rendering, which is Lego 4.
So, there we go.
Lego 4 is when you can tell the NFT to show a different resource or act differently based on some on-chain or off-chain values. Wow. So this can be something like if, let's say that the Mona Lisa NFT has 2 resources. One is the regular Mona Lisa, and one is a Mona Lisa that gives you the finger. And so now you have a Mona Lisa, but you add a condition to the rendering that says, if number of middle finger emojis is over 50, show the Mona Lisa middle fingering. And this is purely client side. So this only happens visually. Yeah. The NFT on the chain doesn't change. Only the balance of its middle fingers does. How many it got.
Because when it was built, it had that capability to go this way or that way.
Yeah.
Right.
And if that balance is over 50, then you just the NFT automatically shows the other resource that shows you the middle finger. So that's Lego 4. And you can combine it with a ton of other stuff. Like you can check for on-chain variables like how many siblings does this NFT have? So if people mint that many more of this NFT's collection, then they can all change, right? Stuff like that.
Okay. Wow. Like this. So man, I'm so excited. Like we did see this with Canaria and like the eggs and like you can send the email and like when we see some of these birds and we're like, holy crap, this looks so cool. But we never considered like, you know, that's conditional rendering is how it's done. That is so cool knowing the back end. That is amazing. And Ryan, dope example with the Mona Lisa. Like
I'm not taking credit for it.
It doesn't matter. It's perfect. It was perfect for this. Okay. What is number 5?
Number 5 is NFTs as DAOs. And that is where we essentially turn an NFT into fractional tokens, but not for the purpose of gambling like in Ethereum right now. So not for token flipping, but for actually issuing collective commands to an NFT. So if you have a Twitch streamer who is getting ready to go into a raid and his avatar that he's playing with is an NFT, he can fractionalize that avatar and give the tokens to his community, to his viewers, and the viewers can in real time vote for the character to equip a certain piece of gear because the nested NFT aspect. And now they can influence the outcome of the raid directly and participate in the gaming session.
Wow.
All of this other functionality can also be like replicated. Like you can just use the community vote to do a ton of different stuff like, send NFTs in and out of other NFTs, equip them mutually. We have this example that we animated for the community governed billboard, where
That's totally what I saw that.
In the metaverse, you like have this billboard place, and if you own a piece of land and you own a billboard, then you can equip that billboard into that piece of land to make it appear. Then you fractionalize that billboard, you divide up the tokens, and then the token holders decide what gets shown on the billboard. And how it gets shown is purely simple remark Legos. So the billboard has a single slot that you can equip an image into, and anybody can send an image into the billboard, but the token holders will have to thumbs up and thumbs down it. So this is supported out of the box.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I saw that video that for it was amazing. I was like, this is cool. This is so cool. Yeah, it's a great example. Have you seen that
out? Yeah, I was watching it today, but we'll tweet it out so other users or other listeners can go and check it out.
Yeah, I think that example is good too, because everyone, of course, is just thinking about like how they can market and profit in some sort of a way or spread the message, and then that totally makes sense. Okay. Mind definitely blown multiple times. I feel like Bruno's just like, yeah, I know, I get this. This is my life. I appreciate how you guys are freaking out. He's like, I've been here before. This is so cool. So
it makes other blockchains suck in my mind.
I literally was
what am I
thinking
doing?
I was like, why go anywhere else? I kind of want to. I have two questions. Let's go this way. So, Kusama being like, I saw it quoted as like an experiment, not necessarily a test net. It's live, like we're doing it. And, is it gonna last? Is it, because I know it has different features than Polkadot. This is how it's a derivative of that or whatnot. But it's like, so, I mean, if you're going to make a project, I know there's a couple on there now, but it's like, is that going to remain, or is you're going to just one day be like, okay, whatever, we've decided this is what's going to be, we convert it and port everything over to something else? Like, how is that going to live?
So Kusama is basically you can't test it. It came about as a canary network, so you can't really test stuff that is really dangerous to everybody involved, and that includes dozens of blockchains and tens of thousands of users, without incentivizing people to break it. And so your test net, in a way, must have economic value to steal in order to get people to try and steal it. So the Kusama network was formed as a network which would get all the features first.
Yeah.
It would not be a testnet because there are two testnets before things get to Kusama. Mm-hmm. But it would work faster. It would get features faster. Features would sometimes be unaudited, and it would have faster parameters, which means that governance is faster, decision-making is much faster, unstaking limits are much shorter. Everything happens 4 times faster than in Polkadot. And because of that, you can actually get to some sort of a critical mass of new features much faster and break and unbreak things much faster.
Move fast and break things.
Yeah, exactly. But it kind of over time evolved into its own thing. And now it's, I would say, the people's chain. So where you might see Polkadot, you might fairly describe it as the VC's chain. You can think of Kusama as the people's chain in a way.
Cool.
Because it is punky, it is open to chaos, and it supports these weird experiments. Now, there are downsides, of course, in a lot of ways, and there's lots of bones to pick, lots of things to discuss here. But bottom line is that Kusama is kind of like this, has the garage feeling, like you came
Apple's building in the garage. I get it.
Yeah. So, so you get this feeling that nobody's going to judge you no matter what you do. And I don't know, it just felt good. I was involved with it at the time, and this is why I built on it. To be fair, I would have built it on something else if I was involved with something else at the time.
Fair enough.
That's cool.
But I really liked the culture. I really liked what it stood for. I really liked how it worked. And I also liked the challenge of building something this advanced on a network without smart contracts.
It's pretty awesome. Quick question. How many projects are using Remark?
It's hard to tell. We have thousands of collections on Remark 1, but Remark 1 was the primitive version of NFTs, which
Right.
was basically just links to media and emotes.
I love how the primitive version, he's like, it was basically just this. And what you're describing is like all the projects we're seeing now, things we've talked about on this podcast for 26 episodes. He's like, it was basically just what everyone's going crazy over. Not enough for me.
Yeah. And this was used to kind of just kickstart the NFT ecosystem on .sama, as we call it, like Polkadot and Kusama.
Right.
Because there were no parachains, there was nowhere else to mint, and so we had to hack NFTs onto Kusama, and this was the only way to mint NFTs on Kusama. But on Remark 2, we have 5 or so projects launched, about 15 in progress, I think, and we have, I don't know, between 50 and 100 in the queue of our biz dev team discussing how they could pull it off. And it is really hard still to explain it to people what they get from this.
Yeah.
So jumping from this is a picture of a monkey to this is an NFT that will be forever alive because you can make it compatible with an infinite number of collections into the future, and this will increase its rarity forever is a huge jump.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think we're evidence of that. We've been thinking about this for a while, and we're in it, working with projects, doing other things, and we're still like, huh? But this episode has changed that for sure. Definitely. Yeah. What's okay? I kind of want to. I don't even want to ask this, but I have to, even if it's embarrassing. Can we double back to so my mind's still thinking. You have this NFT. You've assigned another NFT to it, so it's nested or whatnot. What I'm still not completely understanding is how you are assigning different attributes and whatnot, or changing the utility after the fact, whatever, making it multi-resource without smart contracts. How is that being completed?
So we have this without smart contracts thing is maybe not as relevant anymore, because we are now rewriting our logic as both Solidity and as Rust. So we have about 10 chains that have expressed interest in integrating Remark into their runtime, which means low-level stuff, not smart contract, but like chain level
foundational
stuff. Yeah. And on the other hand, we have a bunch of EVM chains that are interested in adding these as contracts. Chief among them, Moonriver, where Moonbeam Foundation actually gave us a grant to do this. And so we are going to have smart contracts. The reason why we don't have smart contracts in the current version of Remark is because Kusama didn't have smart contracts when I built the original version, and I had to hack it on. And I used the colored coins approach from Bitcoin, where you basically graffiti the chain and then interpret the graffiti off chain. So the data is still there on the chain, but it's really hard to sync. So you don't have a canonical smart contract that you read for the current state of things. Instead, in order to get the current state of things, you have to fetch every single interaction with the Remark protocol from the beginning when it started, and then use a tool known as a consolidator to consolidate that and squash it into one final state. And this is becoming ever more awkward as we get more users and as the protocol ages, because there's more and more data to
that's not squish. Feasible going every time. Every minute that goes on, that just becomes less and less capable of being happening.
And it is quite resource intensive.
Okay, right. So can you explain graffiti the chain? I'm kind of stumbling over that part of it. I don't really get that part. What does that mean?
So when you have So what we're doing is we're basically sending, so every substrate chain, and a substrate chain is a chain that is based on the substrate framework, and that would be Polkadot, Kusama, and all the other chains in the ecosystem. Every substrate chain has this function that you can call that is called the system remark. This is where remark got its name.
Cool.
If you call that function with any message inside it, what happens is your transaction basically screams it into the void. Nothing happens. There's no effect to the chain. But the scream happened. And when a full node syncs the chain, it also syncs the scream. It needs to know that somebody screamed, but it doesn't need to know what the effect was. And we basically log those screams and turn them into special messages. So another way to think about it is you have, let's say that a shipping container has shipping containers, right? And shipping containers have transactions, and those are blocks in a blockchain. What we do is we paint graffiti on the side of those containers. So we don't modify the content of the block. We don't add anything to the transactions, and we don't change the blockchain state, but we graffiti the containers. And when they arrive at their destination, whoever is unloading them, they notice the graffiti. And if they understand the special language that we speak, they can read this graffiti. And this graffiti is basically our NFTs. So you know the special language, and you compile all of that graffiti. You collected it. You photographed every single shipping container with the graffiti. And once you have them all, you can form a big puzzle that makes you understand, okay, this is what's going on.
And then you know how to arrange them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the way to know to arrange them is to read the remark specification. And this specification is what defines the rules on how you read these graffiti. So the graffiti do not actually bloat the chain. There's no smart contract that gets filled up over time, but they do bloat the nodes in that these nodes, these full chain nodes, need to be aware of the graffiti and need to also just scream it into the void whenever they encounter it.
Right. So, okay.
It's a transaction without an effect, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like, I don't want to say this could be wrong, but it's almost like a query that's not returning, but you can see that the query was made and attach that to like a timestamp or whatever, saying this happened at this time. And then when you're consolidating the chain's canonical, entries, you're like, oh, like this is what's happening on the chain. And then sidely you're like, but look, this was said at this time. And you're like, it doesn't affect the chain, but this means that this should happen with this. And
that's exactly it.
That's how you nest them together.
Yep.
Whoa, this is comp sci, like I don't even know.
This is really not original stuff. This was used in Bitcoin and way back in the day when they tried to do NFTs on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
In order to write custom data on the Bitcoin blockchain, they used the exact same method. So you just slap extra data onto transactions that means nothing.
Yeah.
And you interpret it with off-chain stuff, just like we do. Only in Bitcoin, nobody wants to wait for 15 minutes for their NFT to arrive, or even an hour, so this never took off. But here it kind of made sense.
Wow,
that's cool. I actually was in a Bitcoin group, and they were talking about stuff, and I was like, I had no idea, but they were literally talking about some of this off-chain interpretation, and I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't have context because it was way over my head, but it makes sense now. Okay, cool.
That's insane stuff.
Wow, Ryan.
So while we're on insane stuff, a group just today on Singular, a bunch of audio artists from Singular, from our marketplace, came together and made an album. And this album was minted in 69 copies, selling at 1.69 KSM a piece. And it is using multi-resource tech to actually contain all 12 tracks in a single NFT, and also a PDF that has the full credits of every artist and everything, and the album cover by also a famous artist from Singular. And so now we're like, there's music NFTs that are fully like encapsulated in one NFT, a whole album that you can just play on Singular. So
that's amazing.
People are really taking this to like extremes already.
Speaking of Singular, on Singular, we're like seeing a lot of, you guys are, I guess Kusama is like the art cool space. What is, or can people just like submit their art and just be posting it onto Singular? Like how's that working? I was wondering about that because I thought there was only like a couple of major projects out there. So how are people selling individual pieces?
Well, anybody can mint on Singular. If you have KSM in your wallet, so that's the Kusama coin.
Yep.
You can mint on Singular. You log into it and you're greeted by some tutorials. You just hit create. It's a very simple form, upload, blah, 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 for like 10 cents a piece, you're done. And
wow.
So the way it works, you have to make a collection first, and a collection is something that binds your NFTs into a context. So that's going to be, my summer photo album, or my music album, or just my random art, or whatever. But it has to be in a collection. But then you can sell individual NFTs from that collection as much as you want. And so this is what you see on the homepage. These are individual NFTs from various collections, but we don't actually show the collections there. Collections are kind of like containers that serve the artists and minters more than the
okay, right. That totally makes sense. Okay, cool. I feel like we've been so technical and didn't even talk about some of the the basic stuff like that.
Kusama being the blockchain, you got the KSM is the token.
Yeah.
What else was there? There was
Remark has its token that you can't get anymore unless you buy it for an exchange because you gave away to the egg. Why didn't we get those? I'm kind of mad about that. Where were you in August? We wanted the eggs.
We were just jumping into the space. This is so far away from us.
Yeah, well, hey, if you just want the eggs, there are still a few of them unhatched for sale on the old Singular, but I do not recommend buying those.
That's awesome.
They're legit, but they're dead.
I was gonna say, didn't you say you're gonna the ones that, am I reading this wrong? But the ones that are not minted or hatched or whatever, you're gonna axe them, or? So
we burned all the unsold ones.
Yeah.
But some people never hatched theirs. There was a time limit for hatching.
Yeah.
And some of them were even founder eggs that not three founders died.
Yeah.
Which translates to about 200K.
And they never hatched them.
They never hatched them.
You know what? You know what's messed up? I'm mad at that now, and I kind of feel like we would never have done that. And I think to myself, I'm like, if Ryan and I had founder eggs, Ryan would hatch them and be like, Devon, did you hatch it? I've been like, oh no. I would have been the guy that's like, I forgot.
100%.
I would have publicly been like, I did this to preserve the egg. I didn't really want to hatch, but on the inside, I'd be like crying. Yeah. So
there are some underground projects popping up that are promising utility to these old eggs. So
see.
So who knows? Maybe we buy these unhatched eggs.
It's never not dead.
It's never not dead. Zombie birds.
You got me. I'm sold on anything zombie.
That's amazing.
Kryptonite.
That's so cool. Man, that's so cool. Okay. You got a couple.
Yeah, you want me to ask a question?
Yeah, you go. You say some stuff. Yeah.
So shout out to Paps on Twitter. He's always helping us out with hey, look at this, check out this. But he kind of sent the tweet out that got us in conversation to have you on. He had two questions. I guess we kind of answered the first one, but he wanted to know, can a nested NFT have a sort of keep alive timer on it where it could automatically burnt if not used? His example was, an example would be a skill earned in a game attributes to your avatar with an NFT, but to keep that skill, you have to use it regularly or the NFT gets burnt.
That's interesting. It's possible on the EVM version, yes, but not on this one.
Okay.
Not on the current one. On the EVM version, it would be, but it would not be natively supported. So you would have to build that in extra as a special functionality because that's too niche to be generically added. Mm-hmm. There's a point where you have to cut off all of the edge features or risk making it too bloated for people to add your stuff.
Right. Okay.
So this is definitely something that belongs in a game expansion mode for Remark.
Okay, cool. And then the second question was he not sure if you can even answer it or not, but he said Exosama, a project that uses Remark. It looks like they're animating a character, which is a series of NFTs: body, upper arm, lower arm, weapons. Is this true?
I do not know what they're doing in terms of animation, but Exosama is a project worth paying attention to.
There you go.
You heard it here right now. There's the alpha, Non Fungible Guys, and Bruno. Sorry, I could not say that, guys. I'm sorry.
All right, let's get away from like the silliness. But anyway, what projects are you excited about coming in the future? It can be on Kusama or not. I mean, I guess it's almost at this point has to be on Kusama because that seems like we got to be over there. We can't be
we gotta go.
death to Ethereum.
It's well. I mean,
that.
once we're ready with our EVM contracts, we are going to be on Ethereum as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to see much use because I don't see many people wanting to pay $100 to give a thumbs up to an NFT.
Exactly.
But on other chains, for sure. We're also in talks with some layer 2s so that we can roll up those changes. Like if you have like an avatar that you want to equip into a bunch of gear, it makes sense to roll those transactions up into one. So what I'm excited about is the Exosama thing. There's a project called Everloot as well. They're building some really cool stuff. And well, personally, I'm just excited about our play, this Sky Breach that we're building. Because again, I think it's going to be like a paradigm shifter, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Whether the community completely breaks it or if it becomes the best thing ever, we'll see. So that should be really interesting.
I wrote those down, so don't worry.
Yeah, totally.
Keeping an eye on them now.
Yeah, in his in the Twitter profile, like I see his location, Skybridge, and I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention to that. I saw that. I was peeping all that stuff.
And there's also Follow World, which is crafting some really interesting lore, and we'll be using our Rust version of Remark on their chain, which is going to be an insanely cool proof of concept.
Jesus. We could do like 17 episodes and I'm still gonna be like, what?
Yeah, like I might want to have a follow-up where we're at later on, man.
Yeah, we'll have to have you on again. But my last question, and then Devon, you can take over.
Sure.
What is your favorite movie, Bruno? What's your guilty pleasure? Is it like 50 First Dates? I don't know. I just pulled that out of my ass.
First Dates. No, it's a good one. Good one. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing flashed into my mind when you asked that. So I don't know if there's an answer to that. I will always default to my first non-dumb movie, and that's Fight Club.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's fine.
I remember my brain forming around it. Like when I first watched it, it's just reset me out of puberty and into a sane human being. And so it's kind of like my I don't know, my red pill.
Nice.
This movie into consciousness. So I would probably single that one out.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. Honestly, I'd love to end the podcast on that question. I think that's pretty important. Like what you said there was great. Man, Bruno, I think I speak for both of us when I say this has been an amazing interview, podcast, conversation with you. I'm so glad that you responded to our humble request. You've answered pretty much every question that we thought about and also the questions we hadn't thought about. And this is really, really exciting. You're going to see some Non Fungible Guys, Kusama, Remark, everything interest going on in the future. I think we're jumping in for sure. I don't know, man. That's all I got. But if you're listening to this point, good job. You're an OG. You're the right person because this has been, especially the alpha we just dropped. This has been a dope episode. Ryan, you got anything else?
I was just gonna say thank you. This has been awesome. I hope we can have you on again.
Yeah.
And in the future. And I'm gonna go have a drink now. I gotta calm down and think about everything.
Yeah. Same here. We've got a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a pleasure, and I would be absolutely thrilled to be back anytime you'll have me.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug or where we can find you?
Just on Twitter at Bitfalls, BITFALLS, or just hit us up at Remark app, RMRK app, APP. I would actually just say go to singular.app and try to mint something just for fun. It costs a few cents.
Yeah, we've got to do that. Let's
if you have anything, even like a respectable non-dick doodle in your portfolio, we will fund your account with a few micro KSM so that you can afford to mint a few hundred NFTs.
That's so cool. Amazing.
That is awesome. So everyone get out there, Start minting
out
on Remark and Singular and go do all that.
Yeah.
Try out multi-resource NFTs. They're really fun.
Hell yeah.
Sounds it.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Non fungible
Thanks,
guys. We're out.
We're out.
Bye bye.